So, reviewing for the Chapter 7 Quiz 1, in the first set of questions, you are going to be given either degrees of an angle or a picture of the angle, and you need to identify what type of angle it is. So, what I would like you to do is I'd like you to write down how many degrees are in an acute angle, right angle, obtuse angle, straight angle, and reflex angle, and then draw a picture of them. Because again, on the quiz, you're going to have to identify the angle by its picture and by its number of degrees. Go ahead and do question number 1 right now, please. Give you about another 15 seconds or so. So an acute angle. An acute angle is less than 90 degrees. So anything that's less than 90, like 35, 25, 86, anything that's less than 90. A picture of it, remember acute angles, oh, it's so tiny and cute, just like a little baby. A right angle is exactly 90 degrees, not 89.9, not 90.1, but exactly 90 degrees. A right angle is like the corner of a piece of paper. Most of the time, you will see a little box right in the corner of the angle. An obtuse angle is between 90 and 180. Not exactly 90, not exactly 180, but in between 90 and 180. Obtuse is like obese. These are the big fat angles. A straight angle is exactly 180 degrees, not 179.9, not 180.1, but exactly 180. And a straight angle is just a straight line. A reflex angle is between 180 and 360. So 225, 315, anything like that. Reflex angles measure around the outside part of the angle. So if we had an angle like this, we're going to measure around the outside of it. So it goes past the straight angle and looks like that. Again, your first 6 questions on your quiz will look like this. 3 of them, you'll have to identify the type of angle by the picture. 3 of them, you'll have to identify the angle by the number of degrees. In question number 2, and you have 4 questions like this on your quiz, you'll be given a random picture like this with angles on it, formed by intersecting lines. On your quiz, there'll be 1 acute angle, 1 right angle, 1 straight angle, and 1 obtuse angle. You have to pick out which one is which from the picture. What I would like you to do right now is there are 3 different acute angles in this picture. I'd like you to name the 3 acute angles. There are 2 different right angles in this picture. I'd like you to name those. There's 2 different straight angles and 3 different obtuse angles. Remember that when you name an angle has 3 letters. So like angle A, B, C. Remember that this middle letter has to be the corner part of the angle. All right, that has to be the vertex of the angle. So angle ABC. Remember, you have to be able to trace the angle with your finger. So go ahead and name 3 acute angles, 2 right angles, 2 straight angles, and 3 obtuse angles from this picture, please. I'm going to give you about 1 minute to do so. Gonna give you about 30 seconds or so more. So again, remember that the acute angles are the little tiny angles. So one of them is this angle, AFE. So angle AFE, whoops, angle AFE. Or you could have said it the other way and said EFA. So that is that red angle. The next one that is an acute is this one, EFD. So angle EFD, or you could go the opposite way and go angle DFE. The third one is over here, BFC. So angle BFC, I'm going to put it right here, angle BFC, or you could say angle CFB. So those are your three acute angles from this picture. Your right angle. The right angle is like the corner of a piece of paper. With your right angle, you're looking for that box. That box tells you that for sure it is a right angle. So that green angle is definitely one of them, DFC. So angle DFC, or you could say the reverse of that, CFD. The next one is the right next to it. So we're looking at DFA. DFA, angle DFA, or angle AFD. So for your straight angle is just a straight line, but it has to have three letters with it. So going right across the middle here, EFB. So angle EFB. Whoops, I don't know why my pen is doing that. Sorry about that. So angle EFB, or you could say the opposite of that, BFE. The next one that has three letters would come right down this way, AFC. So angle AFC. Or the reverse of that, CFA. So I'm just going to erase these right now for a second to make it a little bit easier to see the obtuse angles. So with our obtuse angles are the big fat angle. All right, so we're looking at AFB, or BFA. For the next obtuse angle, I'm looking at EFC, or CFE. And for the third one, this one is a little bit tricky to see, I think, for some people. All right, this one goes from D to F to B, DFB. That one's a little bit tricky to see. So angle DFB or angle BFD. So again, on your quiz today, you're just going to have to pick out, they'll have the names there already. You just have to pick out the correct angle. Take a look at the next section. In the next section, you'll have one vertical angle, one complementary angle, one supplementary angle, and one supplementary angle with three things. So what I would like you to do, take a look at this picture, identify what type of angle it is, complementary, supplementary, or vertical, and then find X. So go ahead and do question number 4. You should be done with it because there's no work to do. These are vertical angles. These are vertical angles. Vertical angles form an X. The left and the right of the X are exactly the same. So if that angle is 40, this angle is 40. 40 and 40. Remember also the top and bottom of the X are the same. Go ahead and do number 4. Identify the type of the angle and find X. Identify the types of angles and find X. These are complementary angles. Complementary angles form a right angle and divide it into 2 pieces. If this one is 40, this one has to be 50 because complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. The easiest way to find that 50 is just to take your 90 and subtract out the angle that you're given. You could set up a one-step equation also and do x plus 40 equals 90. Solve for x, so minus 40 minus 40, and you get x equals 50. Some people could just do that in their head though as well. Go ahead and do number 5. Identify what type of angles they are and find x. So these are supplementary angles. Supplementary angles take a straight angle and divide it into 2 pieces. So supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. So this angle has to be 140 because 140 plus 40 gives you 180. Another way to find it would just be to take 180 and subtract out what you're given. So 180 minus 40 is 140. Or you could also set up a one-step equation, adding together the 2 angles, x plus 40 equals 180, and then solve for x, so minus 40 minus 40, and again, you get x equals 140. Go ahead and do question number 6, please. Identify what type of angles they are and find x. These are supplementary angles again. Supplementary angles take that straight angle, and this time they divide it into 3 pieces. So these have to, again, add up to 180 degrees. Some people could just maybe do this in their head. 40 plus 68 is 108. And then to get to 180, we would have to add 72. So some people might be able to do that in their head. Other people might want to set up an equation. X plus, you have to add these 2 angles together, 108 equals 180, minus 108 minus 108. So we have x equals 72. Or probably the easiest way is to just take 180 and subtract out the 2 angles that were given. So 180 minus 40 minus 68 gives you 72. So again, remember that. Remember the easy way that I taught you. Remember which is complementary, which is supplementary. Remember alphabetical order. C comes before S, just like numerical order, 90 comes before 180. C comes before S, just like 90 comes before 180. So complementary are 90 degrees and supplementary are 180 degrees. So you'll have 4 questions that are just like that, where you have to identify what type of angle they are and find the missing angle. The last 6 questions look like these, all right? Looks like the ones that we did yesterday. You need to set up an equation, solve for x, sub x back in to find the angles. Go ahead and do question number 7, please. Set up an equation, solve for x, sub it back in to find the angles. These angles are complementary angles. Complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. So we want to add together our x's and our x's. 1x plus 2x is 3x. Then we just have a plus 30. So our equation is 3x plus 30 equals 90. Minus 30 minus 30. So 3x equals 60. Divide by 3, divide by 3, x equals 20. Take that 20, sub it back in for x, sub it back in for x. 1 times 20 is 20. 2 times 20 is 40. Plus 30 is 70. Always make sure your answer makes sense. 20 plus 70 does give us 90 degrees. Go ahead and try question number 8, please. Set up an equation, solve for x, sub x back in to find the angles. Again, these are complementary angles. They take that right angle and divide it into 2 pieces, so they add up to 90 degrees. There's really a 1 in front of that x. 4x plus 1x is 5x. Add together your positive 7 and your negative 2. 7 plus negative 2 is positive 5, so we're going to write plus 5. So minus 5 minus 5. 5x equals 85. Divide by 5, divide by 5. X equals 17. Take that 17, sub it back in for x, sub it back in for x. 1 times 17 is 1 times 17 is 17. 17 minus 2 gives you 15. In the other angle, 4 times 17. 4 times 17 plus 7 gives you 75. So we have 15 and 75. Always make sure that your answer makes sense. 15 plus 75 does give you 90 degrees. Go ahead and try question number 9, please. Set up an equation, solve for x, sub it back in to find the missing angles. These are supplementary angles. Supplementary angles take a straight angle and divide it into two pieces, so they have to equal 180 degrees. 1x plus 1x gives you 2x minus 30. So plus 30 plus 30. So we have 2x equals 210. Divide by 2, divide by 2, x equals 105. Take that 105, sub it back in, sub it back in. 1 times 105 is just 105. 1 times 105 is 105 minus 30 is 75. So your two angles are 105 and 75. Always make sure your answer makes sense. Those added together give you 180. Go ahead and try question number 10, please. These are supplementary angles again, so they add up to 180. 2x plus 3x gives you 5x. 10 plus 15 gives you 25. Minus 25 minus 25. So 5x equals 155. Divide by 5, divide by 5. You get x equals 31. Take that 31, sub it back in, sub it back in. 2 times 31 is 62, plus 10 is 72. 3 times 31 is 93, plus 15 gives you 108. Always make sure your answer makes sense. 72 plus 108 does give you 180. Go ahead and try question number 11, please. Set up an equation, solve for x, sub it back in. These are vertical angles. Vertical angles, remember the little trick, if you put this equal sign right in the middle, that sets up your exact equation that you want to solve. So 5x equals 3x plus 10. You have letters on both sides of the equal sign. I like working with the smaller of the two letters first. So I'm going to do minus 3x and minus 3x to get all the letters on one side. So now I have 2x equals 10. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X equals 5. Take that 5, sub it back in, sub it back in. 5 times 5 instead of 5 times x is 25. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 10 is 25. So you end up with 25 on one side, 25 on the other side. That makes sense because vertical angles are equal to each other. So 25 equals 25. And the last one, try this one, please. Again, these two angles are vertical angles. Vertical angles are equal to each other. This top angle equals the bottom angle. So if you put that equal sign right in the middle, that sets up the exact equation that you want. So I have letters on both sides. I'm going to do minus 3x and minus 3x. So 4x plus 16 equals 48. Minus 16 minus 16. So I have 4x equals 32. Divide by 4, you get x equals 8 when you solve it. Sub it back in, sub it back in. 7 times 8 is 56. 56 plus 16 gives you 72. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 48 is 72. So we get 72 and 72. On your quiz, you'll have 2 complementary angles like this, 2 supplementary angles, and 2 vertical angles.